Hi, this is Jason Shadrick with PremierGuitar.com, and we're backstage with Dan Donegan from Disturbed, and he's going to walk us through Disturbed's latest single, Warrior, and also give us some insight as to his guitar style. So, Dan, thanks a lot for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So, your latest single is Warrior, so why don't you tell us a little bit about how that song came about and show us some of the few riffs that you use in that song?
Well, the song, it's kind of an anthem for us. We're big fans of UFC, MMA, and we kind of, every album that we've done usually has some kind of fight song or some kind of anthem on there, and this happens to be one of them on this album. And I just think for our love of that sport and just trying to, write something geared towards that, we just wanted to give something that was going to be just powerful and energetic and something that had a cool groove and just kind of moving. So I just kind of had this riff and just assembled a rough structure together and kind of gave it to David to work with lyrically on it, and it ends up being our newest single. Will be our third single off this album.
So, why don't you show us the main riff that you mentioned before to Warrior?
Okay, it's a drop C tuning that I use. That's really the lowest that we tune on there, and it's just pretty simple riff, just kind of cool groove. It just starts out like this. And then it goes into a verse, which is the same riff. Then just so that's kind of the turnaround right there.
When you are thinking of riffs like this, do you have kind of maybe a set tonality in mind, or are you just kind of finding interesting sounding intervals and kind of connecting them?
Just kind of just naturally, whatever comes out naturally as I'm playing, and then usually a lot of times I'll have a beat and a rhythm in mind for it. So at that point, once I have a couple riffs kind of together, I'll get like that verse riff, and then maybe like a pre-chorus or a chorus riff, and then Mike, our drummer, will come down to my house, and then we'll just start playing around with the beats and see what just feels right for it. And we'll kind of do that for a few songs before we present anything to David or John as well. We try to get a couple ideas just so they, when it's time to give them something, they got a few things to kind of jump around on in case they're not feeling it. They could always come back to it at another time.
So you mentioned before that's kind of an interesting bridge section. Can you show us a little bit about what you do from night to night in the bridge section?
Yeah, the bridge section, it's kind of simple. I mean, you just have the one rhythm guitar that's underneath it following the bass. It's just open chugs. It's just like a... And then you have the main guitar is just doing with the wah pedal. It's just a progression underneath that, just going from here. That's the main part, and then coming out of that bridge, I hit that final note with a long delay that just kind of repeats and echoes, and then my main guitar will just do a little transition riff that'll go like... And then back, and then into the final chorus.
So also when it comes to soloing, now there's not so much a guitar solo in Warrior, but when it comes to soloing each night, are there things you do to kind of keep it fresh, maybe improvise here or there, or...
I mean, most of my solos are pretty melodic and kind of laid out. As I'm writing them, it's all just improvising in the beginning. I just start just playing naturally what feels right, and then I'll record it, and then I'll just kind of pick out pieces that really stood out to me, So, I'm the type of player that I like to do things that are going to be memorable, that's going to make a kid in the crowd want to play air guitar too, because it's something that's got to be catchy to me too. It's got to serve a purpose. I'm not the type of player that wants to just go up there and try to play as fast as I can and show off. I want it to fit within the song. I want it to serve a purpose, and I want it to be just as catchy and hooky as the chorus of the song may be. So a lot of times as I'm improvising in the beginning stages, like I said, I'll just kind of pick out those memorable moments and I'll just kind of build off that. So then when we come live, a lot of that I think is necessarily to try to stay as close or as true to it as you can. So um, some of it's pretty simple as far as just a little progression within there, like even with the animal, which is our current single right now. It's just kind of a solo section. It's more of just a riff built off of an arpeggio, and I just kind of do this melodic thing throughout it. It's pretty simple. If you want a small example of that, but that's in a E flat tuning, and then when I go to the solo, it's just like. So it just kind of continues that pattern, that little repeat with a little variation throughout it.
Do you find when you're with your right hand technique, you almost stick always to alternate picking?
Not always. I mean, most of my rhythms are a majority of them. I like to down pick almost everything. I guess in the soloing, it is a little bit of both. It's I guess maybe more alternate in there, but I think for the rhythms, it is a lot of down picking because I like just the tight percussive, syncopated, especially with the way that Mikey plays on drums with the double bass and just keeping things tight. I just prefer a lot of just the fast downstrokes.
So when you're before a show like this, we're here kind of in your backstage practice area. Are there certain exercises that you kind of do to get the blood flowing in your fingers from night to night?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in here a few times throughout the day. I just come in and it just, second nature to me. It's just a part of my everyday life. I'll get away from it for a little bit, and then I find myself coming back in here just to play, even if I'm, just whatever. A lot of times we'll have somebody's iPod playing in here. Usually Mike will be playing the iPod, and I'll just kind of solo over songs just to loosen up and just kind of work on some of my technique in that. And then just before we go on, sometimes I'll just kind of freshen up on some of the solos that I'll be playing tonight, and that I'll just kind of brush over them real quick. But yeah, it's usually everyday routine for me. I'm in here a few times playing.
So tell us a little bit about this new signature guitar you have here.
This is Schecter. It was the Schecter Ultra was the model that they only had out for a short period of time. And when I switched over to Schecter, they talked about designing a new signature model for me. And I actually came across this. They sent this out to me to try, and I just fell in love with the guitar, and I love the just the feel of it and the size of it. I'm 6'1". I'm a pretty big guy, and I like kind of a bigger bodied guitar, and it just felt right. I'm like, well, this wasn't not really on the market for them for too long. I'm like, why go through the trouble of trying to find something or design something new when I know that I already like this one? So we just turned this into my signature model, and it worked out great because the timing couldn't have been any better. We came off the road after the Indestructible touring cycle, and I just kind of reached out to them and said, hey, I was with Washburn for many years, and there was a lot of internal changes at the company there. A lot of the guys that I dealt in artist relations at the company had left the building, went separate ways. And Schecter stepped up to the plate. They caught my eye when I seen the guys from Avenged Sevenfold and Jerry from Papa Roach playing it, and I knew Jerry was kind of their long-term guy. He was with them since the beginning, and I was just curious about the guitar, and like I said, they sent him out, and it was just easy to get me to start just changing over because I was at home playing rather than being on the road and just try something new. Once I'm out on the road, I like to play what I play and not do many changes. So yeah, it's just I love the shape, the design of it, just kind of a classic look. I like kind of the raised middle section there. It gives it some depth and dimension to it. Mahogany body with the flame maple top to it. And
What kind of Seymour Duncan pickups do you have here?
this is the El Diablo in the bridge and a 59 in the neck. I don't really use the neck position too much. I mean, other than maybe in the studio, if I want something with a slightly, different tone, or use that neck position, then I may use that. But a majority of the time, I have the toggle switch down for the bridge pickup for the El Diablo. I've always used GHS boomers. They make a custom set for me now, but I've always used boomers. I don't know, ever since I started playing. It's just they're just durable. I very rarely break a string, knock on wood, and they just hold the tone, pretty long. They last long. I mean, we change out my tech changes out the strings every day, but usually even my guitars at home that I'm sitting there, they just they maintain the tone in the strings for a long time, and they're just durable. So I don't see any reason why to look anywhere else. They're just they're what I prefer.
Great. Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through some of your tunes and show us your new signature guitar.
Thank you.
This is Jason Shadrick with PremierGuitar.com.